And I think we're live. So we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Did I say YouTube? And so we are live, and then we'll wait for that ticker. I may just start with the video, and we'll
That's
play it
cool. Have you ever
multiple times.
used Twitch?
I do. It's been a minute since I've actually used Twitch from my phone,
Okay.
or even my computer, actually. So let's play
It's
this.
still more of a gaming thing, right?
Predominantly, yes, but the
Yeah.
monetization model is, to me, it's a behemoth. I love it. If we can,
Oh, really?
yeah, because they're owned by Amazon or owned by Jeff Bezos. Yeah, so we can talk about that too, because Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, in my view, are probably the two most dominant forces in technology and
Right.
also social media in terms of,
Right.
in that respect. And I wanted to say, I want to say technology. I'd say space exploration technology and all that.
Okay.
So let's play the video, and then we'll talk stir for a minute. It'll give us some cool videos in the beginning. So here we go.
Picture that Jesus paints here sums it up perfectly when he describes leaving the 99 to chase after the one who is lost, leaving the relative safety of the herd to adventure into the wilderness after someone valuable. Go. We have to leave where we are, leave the comforts of what we've always known, and go to where the lost are. Brave the same dangers that they would face. So we have to urgently search. Go where we've never gone. Do what we've never done. Go beyond our comfort zones and give everything we have to find that one. And once they're found, once they've been brought back, it's time to celebrate.
Every single time that video is like, wow, okay, it's a pretty well put together video. It really is.
The key is, does it make you want to get up here? That's the thing. Is it a hook? You're fishing, right?
Yeah.
And you're fishing for people to come in and partner and with what we're doing. So that's a lure, right? You're throwing it out there and you're hoping you get a bite on somebody. Go, man, I want to go. And I want to go to Alaska. If you're going to go to Alaska, you might as well go do missions work. You might as well go help somebody that's doing amazing work in the bush of Alaska. And that's what we're doing. We have been doing that for decades. So
have you guys already, so is there a registration count already, or is that something how does that work?
You're talking about the campers?
Yeah, the campers.
Yeah, we haven't opened that up yet. We'll kick that off in June. We found that we used to do it like 3 months in advance, and nobody would sign up until about the week before camp. so it's like, why hustling to get it out there? So in June, we'll actually have registration, and they'll register from different villages. And on the website, it'll give them information on what hub village to travel to. So then we take our boats up to that hub village up the Yukon and then pick up the youth from there. And even if I have a list of registrations, I don't actually know how many youth I'm picking up. Typically, there's more youth than what are on the list. So I'm going to pick up, let's say, 26 kids, and we're going to cram them in 2 boats. And that there'll be like 30 some kids at the river with a sleeping bag in their hand and a duffel and smiling, going, do I get to go? And then you either talk somebody into helping you out and grabbing another boat, or you make another round trip and you come pick them up 4 hours later. And they're kind of used to it. It's part of the culture in Alaska. The culture in Alaska, especially among the indigenous native people, they grew up on the river. They're river people. So Back in the day, before there was airports everywhere, their only option was boating. So they're kind of used to waiting for uncle to show up, and they don't know what time of day he's going to show up. They're just
Yeah.
waiting for him to, or they're getting ready to go to fish camp, and it's a couple hours upriver, and they're waiting for someone to fix the boat. And they're used to hanging out at the bank of the river, they call it, and just waiting. So it's not like a church camp or something you would see in the city. It's nothing like that. It's completely different.
Yesterday, I took my kids to this place, and you talking about fishing in a river. I don't know if you were on my Facebook. Actually, you were on my live yesterday,
Yeah, I was on there for a little bit. I was
bro.
driving.
Bro, that lake or that reservoir, first time in 5 years, it's been full, and it's not just full, but it's full to the point where they had to open it up. I think I want to say early, or they had to open up more than they've ever had to open it up. I swear I sound like Donald Trump, more than it's ever been open before. But
Yeah.
they literally had to. And how I came to know all this is we were driving through our town, and there are these waterways that are overflowing into the lawns of several properties there. And I was like, well, that's strange. So I thought, okay,
Wow.
is it flooding? And so kind of find out they had to open up the reservoir because there's so much water to the point where there's more coming in, and it's been raining. And if you know where we live in a high desert. Well, long story short, yesterday on my live, took my kids out, and
Mhm.
people were fishing, and it was cool to see that. I don't know much about um, fresh water. People were catching these smallmouth bass, and they're keeping them. So I'm like, okay, if they're keeping it, they're probably gonna eat them. So I asked them, "Yeah, you guys eat it?" Oh yeah, we eat them. I'm like, okay. And so you talking about that in Alaska, and it there's so many lessons that God showed me yesterday. One of the things was one of the guys was telling me when these bugs come to life, I think that's the word, and they're all over the streams and rivers and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's when the big fish come out. And I was like,
Yeah, that
oh,
makes sense because
that
they're
makes sense.
feeding off the top.
And those big bugs, it's a certain type of bug.
Yeah.
I'll research it.
No, I've seen them. I know what you're talking about. And they make flies that look like the bud in the fly fish
Yeah.
to fool the fish. And
Hey, you gotta volunteer right there. Pilot Mike said he'll be in Anchorage at 3 a.m. on
come
Thursday.
on, dude. Come on, Mike.
It's not that far from where you're at.
And Emily, oh my goodness. Periscope memories right there, right?
It's coming, Emily. She's asking where's her moderator sword. Well, going back to the conversation on Twitter. So I'm I was a big support of Twitter, not so much of the open playing field in terms of information, because some of the things are not for kids at all. I mean, there's some really bad stuff on Twitter, but
Yeah.
the idea that we have the freedom without being censored, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Another part is what Elon Musk is doing to open up the floodgates in terms of content creators. He's very vocal about giving us the opportunity to generate income using his platform. So the subscribe, I haven't been approved yet. I did apply, and they did say I'm preliminary. I cannot use the words, but preliminary, whatever.
Wow.
Been approved. So
send me the information on that.
okay.
Maybe I should go that route.
You don't have to be a Twitter Blue subscriber like I am, but
okay.
But it does give you a little bit more access too. So
you remember my story of getting invited. This is back in Periscope days, and I got invited to visit Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Remember me telling you that?
Yeah.
I spent a day in the Twitter building, and
so there's two buildings, right? There's left and the right side, from what I remember, because we were there. I wasn't invited. They didn't want me in. It's just so funny. Yeah, it's funny they invited you, but they didn't want me.
Why? I don't get it, man.
No, because of what we were doing, right? What me and Joey were doing. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got it. That's right. I forgot about that. So I was not a competitive, but I found out why I got invited in is there was like 3 or 4 Twitter employees that were huge PapaBearAlaska fans, and I didn't know that. Like they were following me, and at that time, I think I'd been featured like 20 sometimes. So for a while there, it's like you'll get featured, and then the next week you get featured again, and then and then I started. I don't know what I was doing. I was talking about hunting or something and calibers, and I quit getting featured again. It's everything kind of dropped off. But I'll tell you what, man, I'll never forget being in that building today, going from floor to floor and getting and seeing the place. It
Well,
was creepy.
everything's coming out now, and for whatever reason, Elon's doing it. I think Elon is trying to be transparent about things. My opinion, he's being transparent on how things were before he got there, and and and,
Mhm.
and it's all documented on
Yeah,
obviously favoritism, things being pushed to the side for personal
yeah.
views versus it being an open platform. But the funny thing is, if you remember the interview, he just did an interview recently with the guy. I forget which interview it was, but they had asked him. So they tried to corner him on firing. I think he fired 80% of the workforce, maybe
Yeah,
90%, right?
yeah,
And so now they're saying, well, what are you doing with all this dead space? There's so much empty office space. And it's true. And so they're trying to corner him on what he's using the space for. Um, hey, Roger, how's it going? Um, what Elon also talked about um, was, well, okay, so if you're going to try to pinpoint me on violations, whatever, well, let me tell you what I've been trying to do. And so where you went, Ron, there's two buildings, right? So on the left side in this interview, they showed how empty it was. And so they said, well, what are you going to do with all this space? And so he tried to open up a homeless shelter. And the landlord did not approve it. And I believe the city would not allow it for whatever reason. And so whether it's
yeah.
political or logistically, I think we can all argue that logistically it's not a problem because Elon has enough money to make it happen. So
Right,
now we know it's politically that, well, why wouldn't you let
right.
he spent 44 billion on the world's biggest nonprofit organization, basically. And now he's trying to offer where he can house some kind of homeless community in the other building. But of course, the city officials probably wouldn't have it because, God forbid, they have homeless
Yeah,
shelters. That's
yeah,
organized.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that there's even homeless in that area because I mean that's the Market Street district. And I've been to San Francisco hundreds of times, and like that was our hangout place when I lived in that part of California, and that was like the safe part of town. That was you never saw anybody on the street, not even a beggar. Definitely never saw a tent or anybody sleeping. That was like the clean part of town. You saw suits and ties
Oh yeah.
walking and going to businesses. But when I went to Twitter, speaking of the workload or the people, there must have been no workload because the only people I saw working were security guards on every floor. They had really tight security. That was the only people I saw doing a job, and maybe a receptionist. Everybody else was just drinking coffee and sitting around and talking. Like nobody's at a desk doing anything. I didn't see anybody even at a computer screen do anything.
Wow.
And there was a lot of people just hanging out. And I'm asking, so yeah, what's going on here? I don't really see anybody doing anything. And they're like, yeah, well, it's a chill environment. It's part of our, part of our DNA. And I'm like, no, it just looks lazy, man. Like you're not getting nothing done. Like no wonder like you're not responding to emails. I'm looking at hundreds of people doing nothing. And then we're sending an email and we're waiting 6 months for an answer. I'm like, yeah, you're definitely top heavy. Something's going on here.
Well, Emily just said they stopped featuring you because you unfollowed her on Twitter, and neither of you got any Hello Kitty stuff. Okay, well that makes sense. Now it makes sense. Why?
Okay,
Okay,
that was it. That
yeah.
was it. Emily, I'm sorry.
It's
Uh,
funny you that you're confirming because I was thinking. I remember talking to a friend. Like he said that they at the time Twitter. And this is recent. Twitter had almost 8,000 employees, and I'm thinking, how in the world can you have so many employees and yet just some basic what do you call that? Customer service issues haven't been handled in years. And so
wow.
makes you wonder what were they doing and how did they get the money to
Yeah.
pay these guys? And it's like, okay, that makes sense why he would get rid of 80% of the workforce. And he said it turns out you don't need that much people to run the company.
No, you
Yeah.
don't. Most of it's automated. and you just got people setting things and programming things, and then you're good to go. But yeah, that's crazy. But I'll never forget my time there. That was pretty crazy. And some of the people who invited me in, and I had to go through the security checkpoints before I even showed up. I mean, I had to get like emails approving that I'm allowed to go visit their building. Those people, they quit shortly after that. Some of them, I think you know who they are. But even before things went crazy, they had already stepped away and went with other companies, so I have zero contacts now. I don't know Elon, so.
I think we all have zero contact, but I think hopefully the playing field is wide open now. But Mike said it's all AI now. That's a curious that's an interesting
Okay.
comment to say regarding Elon. And so if you know Elon, he was one of the original guys that financed ChatGPT, and then he backed out. And now, and my facts are not 100%, so nobody fact check me. But from what I understand, who's the other big guy? Glasses. Bill Gates is
Right.
heavily invested in Chat GPT, and I believe they're using that type of software for their Microsoft Bing, which is a game changer if Google doesn't get ahead of that as well, because just the sheer fact of the information. It's one thing to have the information, but to make it relevant for everybody else. It's easy to create fake users on Twitter and increase ad. I think I agree, Roger. I think it used to be, and I think now because of the cleanup of the bots and the authentic what's the word? Authentic I can't say the word. Authentic. What the heck? I can't even say the word.
Now you got me.
What the authentic? Oh my god. Authentic. Holy smokes. What the heck? Anyways, the way to authenticate. Oh,
Yeah.
brother Greg, I get it. So authenticate a legitimate user. And
That's
I think
great.
the other part is the Twitter Blue subscription, which is what I have, eliminates the possibility of someone impersonating you or someone else. So yeah, pig Latin. Thank you, brother Mike. What the heck? You know what it is? I'm wearing the wrong shirt, bro. I'm wearing my hopefully I'll get copyright status, but I'm wearing my Ultimate Warrior t-shirt, so that could be the problem.
Yeah, and I'm wearing one of mine. So our winter extreme camp.
That's why the reduction in workforce. I forget who it was. So with Periscope, the Russian hackers were able to create millions of fake users, fake accounts, and they
That was
can't.
crazy.
Yeah, they can't do it anymore because if so, like, there's so many different ways they put it into where they can't do that. But one of the ways they were able to get fake views was creating thousands of web pages. You know how when your computer freezes, it keeps opening new windows? That's how I learned how some of the Russian hackers were creating fake viewership by opening multiple windows of the same broadcast.
Right.
That's a crude explanation. But anyways. Yeah, getting back to the Chat GPT, I will say that the scary part of the Chat GPT and even the deep fake technology. Have you seen those videos of Biden and Putin? They're like dancing together in the same room.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
It looks almost real.
Yeah, they're pretty funny stuff. The stuff that they can do now is,
I mean, they can make someone going on live television saying, "I'm going to launch a nuclear missile at you right now," and have Putin's face on it. And
yeah, and it makes you kind of leery of what you're watching anyway. So let's bring Emily on live. Can you do that?
Yeah, if she wants to. You want to join us, Emily? I don't know if I've never seen her face before. She can put on one of those face diffuser things if she wants it. So Emily, the invitation is there for you if you want to join us.
She's always a great supporter.
Yeah, major. And even behind the scenes, she's
amazing. Yeah, Emily, we think you're pretty cool.
Even brother Mike, I'm not sure what the kitty cat is for, but we'll put it up. Oh, hello, kitty.
All right. So Emily, send me a message on Twitter and I'll follow you. Okay.
Oh, she can't stream the studio.
Okay. Just send me a message and I'll follow you on Twitter. I'll check it. I rarely check my Twitter, although maybe I'll start doing that now. In fact, I actually deleted the app for like a couple years, I think. And then when Elon bought it, I'm like downloaded it again. So we'll see.
I'm looking up an article. I'll share my screen.
I'll get fired. Oh, no.
No, we don't want anybody to get fired.
No, we don't want that because we'll have that guilt on our heads, So you're going back and forth to Hawaii, not
I
for the
am.
greatest reason. So
Yeah, so what month? We are in May. So we've been back 3 times since February. So yeah, and we have another trip planned next month, and so we
Dude.
may not go back, but we shall
All right,
see.
so June you might leave.
June, yeah.
So if something changes, why don't you come see me in June?
I would definitely love to. But my only being transparent, the only issue would be with kids. My
Okay.
kids, make sure I haven't, and then the other
Right.
part obviously is the financial part. Make sure that because we have to go back. I'm bad with math, so we'll be in Vegas in August. I have to go to Vegas in August for a week,
Mm-hmm.
and then June is family time. Wait, we're in June. Oh my gosh, no, July is family time. We have a vacation for just our
Okay.
kids and family.
Yeah,
So
July I'm slammed with camps. Bad time
yeah.
to drop in.
So while we've got a little bit of people in here, I'm gonna show a video. You guys don't have to like blast the volume. I'm gonna show this video on, and just to be diligent on us. Here, watch this video, guys, and then we'll talk about it in just a second.
Cool.
The picture that Jesus paints here sums it up perfectly when he describes leaving the 99 to chase after the one who is lost, leaving the relative safety of the herd to adventure into the wilderness after someone valuable. Go. We have to leave where we are, leave the comforts of what we've always known, and go to where the lost are. Brave the same dangers that they would face. So we have to urgently search. Go where we've never gone. Do what we've never done. Go beyond our comfort zones and give everything we have to find that one. And once they're found, once they've been brought back, it's time to celebrate.
There we go. And there were some comments that came in. We'll talk about the video in just a second. Kia ora to our friend out there in New Zealand. I think she's in New Zealand, Japan, Korea, Louise, Poppy. And of course, Joanne Pham is live on our Facebook as well. She said, it's the long bearded crew. Yeah.
Emily, I'm still PapaBearAlaska. Should be on. I don't think I'm blocked on Twitter anymore.
So for those that didn't see the video before, that's just Papa Bear or Ron's. That's his passion every year. I'll let him explain, but I just wanted to share that video, and I'll let him kind of give a bio of what that is.
Well, that's a little 1 minute of kind of what we do all year. So we do suicide prevention is kind of our focal point. That would be the platform that we're using to get into remote locations and really help these youth. Mostly we work with high-risk youth, and how you define a high-risk youth are typically, at least how our state defines high risk, are kids that have already attempted suicide, or they've publicly or somehow verbalized that that's something that they want to do. And so also high risk would be any kind of violence that's happened to them, or abuse or molestation or anything. These are all considered high risk on the edge. And so that's the kind of youth we go after, because nobody's really creating programs for them. So a lot of what you saw there was some winter, but you saw a lot of summer. We're gearing up for our summer camp. We just closed up our winter camps, and our summer camp is very specific. We go up into the upper Yukon River, which is in the middle of stinking nowhere, and it's smack dab in the middle of several small Gwich'in-Athabascan native villages, and so that's who we're drawing from. And the reason we built a camp up there is because suicide statistically was worse there than it was in Alaska. And to give you a little kind of a reference from that is Alaska still has the highest rate of suicide among 18 years of age and younger. We have the highest rate of suicide per capita in the known world. And so when you already have a state that has the highest rate of suicide per capita among young people, and then you find these hot spots where the suicide's even higher than the rest of the states, that's why we started going there. And this will be my 20th year running that river with boats and reaching out to these kids, in our 15th year running the camp. So it took us about 5 years to establish ourselves and find property and build a camp. So pretty cool.
Man, that straight up breaks my heart, but it also pisses me off too that this generation is at that position. Like it's crazy. Like, so out of those kids that you minister to, those kids that come out to your guys' ministry, how, if you were able to give just a vague number, how many of them actually have a healthy family unit at home, both a father and a mother?
Oh, wow, maybe 5%, maybe, if that. And I might be a little generous there. So, I've been doing this for like professional youth ministry and youth work for 40 years now. This is my 40th year doing this. So I'm one of those old guys. I started at 21, I'm 61, and I'm still doing this. And so I remember back in the day, you'd work with a group of youth, whether it's inside of a public school situation or a youth group or whatever program you're running. And you would have 1 out of 10 kids in a really messed up, broken home. And so you were able to spend some time and really focus on that young man, that young lady, and get them help. And then over the years, that seemed to even out. And now we're at a point where, especially in these remote locations, because of, part of it is because a good portion of it is because of the addictions. So mostly alcoholism in this region. Drugs come into a second, but not really a close second. Alcohol still kind of seems to rule the village. And so because of that, you've got some parents and guardians that have disconnected emotionally and mentally because they have their addiction they're dealing with. And you got kids raising themselves, and the abuse level just shoots out the top. So now it's pretty common to have 10 youth standing in front of you, and you might have one that has a semi-functional family, but you might not.
That's crazy. That's just heartbreaking. And it just takes me to all the times, all those things that we see, even in popular culture. Like my famous video I used to show a lot is Will Smith. I don't know if you ever watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but many years ago, his final episode was all about him not having his dad in his life.
Wow.
And I'm a big proponent of, I'm not devaluing the mothers, because my wife is the best mother on the planet. She is so important. I'm
Right.
not saying that I'm better than her, but she'll agree that you got to have both mom and dad in home at as much as
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
But Will Smith, that if you Google or YouTube that final episode, where it was probably his best acting performance ever. It really is. Where he basically he screamed in that last episode, like he said, "To hell with him." Something about his biological dad. Like, he wasn't there for my birthdays. He wasn't here for this. He wasn't,
Wow.
and he also said, and I'm paraphrasing. He says, "Why didn't he just love me?" And that shook me to the core. And even with
Yeah.
this latest, I don't know if anybody. So I'm gonna pump up Kahuku Hawaii. I'm gonna pump up Hawaii, bro. Our pride and joy of Hawaii, brother Ian Tongi. He won American Idol, but I made a video of him, and I want to show you guys because it's powerful. it's a 30-second video, but I want you guys to pay attention to the very end. I want to show this video. I don't know if I can do it.
Awesome.
It's powerful what he says at the end. I don't know if I can share it. Let me share with you guys. I can. Here we go. Hey, you guys ready? Here we go. Watch this. Check this out.
That's how me and my dad bonded. But ever since he passed away, you know, it's been hard. This one's for Rodney. Yeah. Oh, my dad. People thought I cried, you know, because I miss him, but it's because I hear him singing. I can hear his harmony. I can hear, like, how he would harmonize with me in that song. He always wanted me to go to American Idol and sing. So I'm trying to make him proud of me.
That's crazy.
But tell me that's not powerful.
Yeah.
At the end, he said, I just wanted to be proud of me. Bro, the kid is 18 years old, lost his dad a few months ago. Even before, so his dad didn't get a chance to see him graduate. His dad didn't get a chance to see him win American Idol. But the fact that in the ending, he said, I just want him to be proud of me. You know, and look at these kids that you're ministering to. How many of them just want their, not just their dad in life, but to have that, man, it's crazy. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, you know, it's a God designed to have a father and a mother. I mean, that's the perfect scenario. Not everybody gets the advantage of having that. But now we're seeing stats, like sometimes statistics, especially legitimate statistics, take sometimes decades to formulate. And so maybe 20 years ago, we don't have the information that we did now, because now we've watched families and people and the stats are there. But I just saw this like a week ago, and I wish I had the numbers in front of me, but it was crazy, the numbers that I saw. That it was a stat showing single mothers, like people who raised completely without a father, not a father that necessarily left in the middle of their life, but like they just weren't raised with a dad at all. They're raised by a single mom, and it's no diss on single moms. They're doing the best they possibly can. But what they found was, you know, the rate of potential, the percentage of potential of ending up in prison by being raised by a single mom was staggering, versus if you're raised by a single father, the numbers almost coincide with being raised by a father and a mother, which tells you that I think the mother's portion is mostly important in those early ages of nurturing.
Yeah,
men don't naturally nurture a little well. I suck at nurturing.
I don't have the genetic makeup to nurture.
No, like I remember splitting my head open. I'm like 10 years old and I got blood flowing down, and my dad's like, "Shut up, quit being a baby." Grabs it and throws a big Band-Aid on it, and mom's nurturing and screaming, and dad's like, "Now we're gonna save $300 and not take him to the hospital." So I have a scar to this day on the roof of my head from getting hit with a log, you know. And but dad just said, you know, you just man up. What's the matter with you? You're 10 years old. Get over it.
I think you and I suffer a psychological condition from our parenting, right? And that psychological condition is called respect of our elders. You know, my dad, obviously, like, my dad was physical, you know, but it wasn't to the point of where I was in fear of my safety or my, you know, it was physical in a way that I knew that he loved me, because my dad was, to this day, at my, bro, I'm going to be, how old am I? I'm 40 something, but I'm going to be close to 50 in a few years. And I still remember my dad tickling me with his beard stubble as a kid. I still remember that. And I still remember him hugging and I still remember that. And it's not some fabricated memory, but I remember those moments more than I do the actual physical correction. The physical correction, I remember it just because I believe that God allows me to retain those memories, because it's a reminder for me when it comes to my children that if I am physical with them in a loving manner, in terms of kisses and hugs, holy smokes, my grammar today, hugs, but also
Huggis.
Let's give my kids huggis.
Let's make it a word. Huggis.
Huggis. Let's give them some huggis. But even in a sense of physical correction as well, because that is the biggest fear, I think, for me when it came to my mom passing away was me not having uh the memories.
Hmm.
And I think one of the biggest things we do as adults, even as human beings, even as kids, when we make a mistake, sometimes our carnal instinct is to shy away or to run away. And biblically too, right? With Adam and Eve, what was their first instinct when they made a mistake? Let's go run and hide.
Yeah.
But as a father, man, one of our things is make sure we grab our kids and we pull them close to us, even when we got to correct them, even when we got to love and hug them. And to not have that just proving we saw Ian Tongi, we saw Will Smith and years ago. They just want their dad close. They just want their dad to, even if it's like correction, even like just to have that, you know.
Yeah.
Missy, I'm gonna read this comment by Missy. She said on Facebook, "I remember my dad tickling my feet with his beard and mustache." Okay, my dad didn't do that, but yeah, my dad had stubble, so my dad is kind of like me, you know. But I gotta say this, Rod. I know it's in your profile here. I'm thinking I gotta tell Ron to center his head in the middle of the screen, and I'm like, no, we can't do that because you won't see the majesticness of his beard. So it works out that way. So I gotta tighten it on mine. His you gotta pan out so you can see the full majestic.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So how
It
many years
is.
now are we growing that beard out, brother?
I don't know. But a year ago, I tore out. It was I was picking up some heavy equipment, and somehow the middle of my beard got hung into the equipment. And so when I picked up the equipment, I literally ripped the whole center of my beard out of my face. It really hurt.
Did you
But
cry?
it just hasn't. No,
You think I
man
cried?
up.
I cried when I had
No,
one.
and so the beard hasn't really recovered. It's trying, but when you get older, your hair doesn't grow as fast as when you're young. So if you're gonna grow, gentlemen, if you're gonna grow a long beard, don't wait till your 60s. Start now. And
Well,
I say grow it, don't mow it.
grow it until it just runs away from me because
Yeah.
I'm still growing mine out. I have it tied up nice and neat, but I think
Yeah.
everybody knows the story on mine. So, but yeah,
That's great. So I tried to connect with you in Hawaii a few times before you moved, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll see you in Oregon because I go down there sometimes, and that hasn't worked out. So maybe you need to come north, and if June ends up happening, if you got like a week in June or even a few days, why don't you bust a move and head north?
how many hours from Oregon to there flight time?
Dude, you're probably going to end up Seattle probably, or
Yeah,
Portland.
Seattle.
And Seattle's kind of the hub. It's only a 3.5 hour flight to Fairbanks, maybe 4 hours tops, depending on the airplane, but from Seattle. And then from there, it's about an hour hop to our camp in a small airplane.
So I just got to be clear. I'm not a Kenneth Copeland where I say there's demons in the airplane with me. But
Right.
if you ever saw that video, but there's a video of I think it's Kenneth Copeland where he talked about having a private jet. And he said, I'm not gonna fly on a plane with all these demons. I'm not like that, but I don't do well in main cabin. I get beat up so bad, and I think they do that on purpose. So you'll fly or upgrade your ticket. So if it's only 3.5 hours, 4 hours, then I think that's totally doable.
Yeah. It's not too bad. And then a 1 hour hop in a small airplane. And
Wait, did you say small airplane?
oh yeah, you got to. So
I don't do small airplanes.
Oh no, you got to do a bush plane, dude. You can land right on our camp.
No, if
now you're going Mr. T on me, man.
If it's got I ain't getting no airplane. If it's got those harnesses, no.
So us old guys remember that show, right?
Yeah.
That was my dad's favorite show, man.
I ain't getting no airplane.
I ain't getting no airplane. And they always had to sedate him.
Yeah, shoot him up with a needle or gas him or no. Yeah. I don't do well with harnesses. So if you run so anybody that doesn't know, if you get into an airplane that has shoulder harnesses, instead of just a lap belt, that means the plane typically can drop in elevation pretty quickly. So I'm just throwing it out there.
It is a hoot, though. The stuff you get to see, you're flying lower elevations, you're going over the mountains, and man, it's just you're pulling out your camera, getting video. Just keep the barf bag handy, and you're good to go.
Oh, I totally forgot about Mike's his job description. Mike's a pilot, so he said he flies with demons. That's funny. You know, so it's no secret. So because I travel a lot and I don't have the luxury of being in one spot literally more than 2 weeks. I'm here at home 2 weeks out of the month. Lately, I've been home 3 weeks, so I can't just have a 9 to 5. So I've been doing a lot of Lyft, and I love it because, uh, with Lyft, we're glorified taxi drivers. At the end of the day, we're just a fancy taxi driver, and I'm thinking pilots are the same thing. They're highly paid taxi drivers that fly a bunch of demons, according to brother Mike. So, uh,
Did
yeah,
yeah, I was just on a long phone call yesterday with a local airline that we work with, but trying to negotiate flights out to our camp, and crazy expensive. He's telling me how their flight costs have just gone skyrocketed, insurances, and yeah, it used to be a cheap way to travel. It's not anymore. But here in Alaska, you kind of have to fly. If you choose not to fly, there's a lot of places you just can't go.
well,
There's no
because of
road
the
system.
islands too, right? Multiple islands.
Yeah, and it's not so much islands, it's remote area where there's no road system. So like our camp is 150 river miles from the closest road. Are you
It's
with me? So
massive.
you either do 150 miles on a boat to get to our camp from a road, or you're going to fly in. Flying in so much faster.
150 miles by a boat translates to how many hours?
Well, it depends on how loaded that boat is, but it could, typically 6 hours to get to camp.
Oh no, I'll suck it up and put on the 5-point harness on an airplane.
But it's not like, that lake you were at yesterday. It's not like you're taking the boat out on the lake, the water's not moving, you're going to chill, you stop and rest when you want. It's not like that. We're talking about the Yukon River that kills people every year, and you're fighting against waves and current. And if you make
And
a bad
animals.
decision, yeah, and you make a bad decision, you're dead. And so I've been doing this. This will be my 20th year on the river, and I've made a few bad decisions over the years, and thank God somehow weaseled out of death. And so you just get smarter at it.
Well, and wildlife too. I'm guessing if you're on a boat, there's going to be some
Oh
wildlife.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Most of the wildlife you're not seeing on the main channel. They stay away from that. But when you get onto side channels where I take shortcuts, so if I'm going to take a shortcut through a slough, they call them, where like it's a shortcut, it might shave 2 miles off the river run. You take a smaller, you got to have like a jet boat for that. That's where you're going to run into wildlife like crazy. And I've had like come close to hitting a moose that's crossing 3 feet of water that I'm cruising across, or often a flock of geese or a crane. I've hit a crane, like didn't do any damage, but like hit him with the wings as he's flying over my boat. And um, I got chewed out by a river otter one time. I'm coming up this thing and he's like blocking me, and I didn't want to hit him, so I stopped the boat. And I don't know if river otters can cuss, but I'm pretty sure he was cussing at me and showing
I'm
me his
swearing
teeth.
in
Yeah, like what are you doing
Otterese.
what are you doing in my neighborhood? He's like running some sort of neighborhood watch patrol, and he came by my boat and slapping my boat. He's a river otter, right?
Well, it's
And
like
he
Hawaii.
looked mean.
It's like Hawaii, right? When there's a shark attack, what's the first thing the media or the news says? A Maui man was attacked in shark-infested waters, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, if I'm a shark, it's not this is my home. It's like
Shark
tourist
infested.
infested waters. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so you can. You know what I've hit a lot of is beavers, and they're tough, man. I've hit beavers with my boat because I get in the way. They pop up right in front of you. And
Do you kill them?
I've never killed one with a boat,
Oh,
but when I'm hungry, I kill them. They're amazing food. They're good eating.
in what way? Stew, deep fried? How do you eat
Yeah.
it? How
So
do
what
you?
you do with a beaver, because you're getting two things of it. You got really good quality meat because they're vegetarian, but they're, I mean, it's a big rodent, but it's good meat. And but you're also getting this pelt that's worth money.
Mhm.
Beaver pelts are worth a lot of money. They make gloves, they make hats. It's one of the best furs to put on your skin in cold weather because it wicks and it'll keep you dry. Think about it. A beaver spends most of his life underwater and never gets wet. How does that work?
That's true.
So that's pretty amazing. He never gets wet. Their skin stays dry. That's how dense this fur is. So if we're really hungry, we'll kill a large beaver because there's so many of them. They're plentiful in the area. And you actually, if you're thinning out the beavers, you're helping the environment because they'll drop every single birch tree and they'll dam up places that don't need to be dammed up. So anyway, you take it and you skin him, you keep the hide. So you're going to clean the hide up. And then of course I don't want to go into detail, but what's called processing, right? You clean out the inside of the beaver and then all the rest of it, you put in a big pot and we'll cook it over a fire for like 6 hours until the meat gets light. And then we take the meat off the bone, put it in a pan, stick it in our outdoor oven, season it. And I'm telling you, it falls apart like roast beef and you make sandwiches out of it. And it's just like people think they're eating roast beef sandwich. Put barbecue sauce on it and they don't know the difference. You're eating beaver. And I've fed 60 guys with one beaver before.
With one beaver?
It was a big 45-pound beaver. Got a lot of meat off it.
You're like a modern day Jesus. You feed tons of people with one piece of meat.
Well, you're making sandwiches. Everybody had at least 2 beaver sandwiches out of that thing. It goes a long way, but just really good. Season it. Really popular meat with the local elders. So the young guys will go trapping. They want the hide, and they'll either go sell it to the elders or give them the meat.
So it's not a risky meat like bear meat. Like bear meat, you got to make sure you cook it all the way through, right?
No. And the way you're boiling it, it's pretty safe anyway. And people think it's gristly like other rodents on the planet, like possum or whatever, like you have down south, but it's not like that. It's not a super fatty meat. It's not super lean either. I don't know. I was really impressed. I didn't expect to like it first time I had it. And I'm like, dude, this is good stuff. I like it. But it goes with anything. Like some people like squirrel.
I haven't tried squirrel yet or beaver.
Well, you come up. Maybe we'll pop a beaver and throw it in the pot. What do you think?
Yeah. So what's the dates again that you said that would be good?
Anytime in June, man. Just June. I'll get there. It'll take me a couple days to get there. I'll get there around the 5th, and then I got my some work teams, a work team coming in. But I'm really flexible in June. That's a good time to go.
So those that are kind of jumping in and out, if you don't know what we're talking about, Papa Bear has a every year they do a ministry in the remote. It's remote, right? Remote part of Alaska, very remote,
crazy remote.
And they obviously need volunteers, right? Can we?
Yeah. You can go to our website. Just
I'll put
tgmalaska.com.
I'll put it in the comments. TGMAlaska.
Yeah, tgmalaska.com.
Flip in the comments.
And find out about it. And there's a way to reach me there as well. So
that's the website, tgmalaska.com.
Yeah.
Well, Lord willing, I'll be there. I don't know. My wife is like, we've been spending so much on travel. It's crazy. And
yeah,
I wish I could say it's for, leisure and vacation, but I'll be honest, even we've been back to Hawaii 3 times already since, February. And I make sure that I don't go in the water. I know it sounds silly, but I make sure that I don't go to the beach because I don't want my kids to feel like, oh, dad went to the beach. No, it's not a vacation, and it's like, we had the conferences and the funeral. So,
dude,
but Lord willing, in Alaska, that'll be put me to work. I'll just give me something to do and I'll work. And
yeah. So I can't imagine going to Hawaii and not getting in the water. So that's pretty tough of you to do that. I mean, Philippines, I got to get in the water whenever I go there because there's something healing about the salt water. It just feels good on your skin. A lot of healing attributes about it.
I tell you what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump in this water right down the road from me. That lake that you saw, that water is freezing cold. I'm gonna do it just to. I know that when as athletes, after you're done whatever event you're doing, to jump in an ice bath. Essentially what it would be.
Yeah, and now there's all these studies about the ice bath. You see people on social media doing it like crazy. So they're seeing the the benefits of it. Here in Alaska, I don't care what time of year it is, you jump in any water around here and it's going to be like it was ice just a few weeks ago and it melted. So it's super cold water.
Like high 30s, low 40s, possibly.
Yeah. Like you go numb. You turn blue like this shirt. And yeah, but it's funny, the locals they love to swim in it. There's a few places on the river I like to go where there's a big eddies that have formed, and there's sand bottoms, and so the sun in the summer will kind of warm the water up, so it's not like crazy freezing. It's a great place to swim. But the Yukon's a dirty river. You put your hand in it and you can't see your hand. So it's silt and dirt and glacier silt. So it's really a thick product that's coming down river.
So Brother Mike says it cleans your lymphatic system, which I totally agree with that. You know what else it cleans, Brother Mike? It cleans your urinary tract system, because I be peeing when that water is ice cold. It's just a natural response. You got to go bathroom, bro. It's like the water's cold.
You
So,
do. Yeah, cold
yeah.
water.
I
Dude,
wanna,
I hit a beach in the Philippines, and I went in the evening, and so it'd been hot, like 100 degrees all day, right? And this particular beach on this island, it goes out probably, I'll bet you it goes out 800 yards, and it stays maybe 4 foot deep, right? It's just like a big flat, like a cove. I get in this water, and I'm not kidding you, it felt hot. It felt like bath water, like it just didn't even feel right. I'm like, this is ocean, but it had been baked all day long, right? And you get out there, and I'm walking out as far as I can. I'm out there. It looked like a quarter mile trying to find cold water, and the further I go out, the water's getting cooler, right? But it was crazy hot, like literally bath water. And then I went out the same place the next morning, and it had cooled off all night, and it felt the way an ocean ought to feel,
well, I will say the ocean is legit. So anybody, I got some family in Hawaii there. I'm gonna acknowledge them real quick, but I got Keani, Brother Kalani, and then Terry in here on Facebook. And Brother Chris Rossetti, Pastor Chris Rossetti, he said, "Welcome to Beards R Us." So I gotta throw that out there. But going into the Hawaii, like the ocean is legit in the sense that if you are like super hot, you jump in the ocean for like whatever 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, you get out, take a shower, rinse all the salt off. Like your body is literally cool the whole day. And I don't know, I'm sure that's not just Hawaii, obviously, but just that refreshing of the salt water and rinsing off with a shower.
Yeah.
But Mike said
I love
Florida
it.
is 75 in the summer. Yeah.
Well, Florida beaches, I've been in quite a few of those, but here in Alaska, you don't ever see anybody at the beach. That water's cold. I don't care what time of year it is. It is cold.
Unless you're one of those. Do they have the Polar Bear Club? Where is that in Alaska?
Yeah, they do it a lot. Yeah. So you'll see surfers in certain parts of Alaska on the ocean, but they're in full body gear. You know what I mean? They're wearing the wetsuit. They're like from top to bottom. They'll freeze out there. That water's crazy, stays in the 40s.
Well, you can die for sure, even with 40 degrees, if you don't watch your body temperature.
Oh, yeah.
You got hypothermia.
Your core. Yeah, hypothermia really fast.
Or you lose body parts, at that point.
Yeah. That's not good.
That's one of the things I learned about ice baths, is that your body protects what's vital. So whatever technically is not vital, potentially if you're in there long enough, you lose those body parts. Yeah, it'll protect your heart. All the blood rushes to your.
I see.
Your core, your body, basically protects the heart. All the blood, literally.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's extremities that you have to watch out for.
Yeah, it's almost like what Mike said. I think Mike said
like the toes.
Yeah. Well, your toes, your fingers, all those.
Yeah.
Things. Yeah. Well, for those that I'm just going through comments, but for those that kind of jumped in late, this is what me and Papa Bear do. He'll text me, or I think yesterday, he saw me live. Hey, let's connect. So this is what we do when we connect. We just connect with you guys.
We just connect in front of everybody.
And I think
we're catching up, right?
I tell you what I'm excited about, and we talked about it in the beginning, was that it seems like today everybody thinks that they can just. I don't want to sound like I'm being judgmental, but it seems like anybody nowadays can just go live and share whatever. And I think that's good in one way, but also for us to be able to connect with people in an organic way, and that's legitimately concerned about other people's needs too. And I think that's
Yeah.
something that God's calling. I know He called you to it already, but even myself, and even Brother Chris Rossetti, who's
Yeah.
on here as well. And it's not just. I used to have bullet points and agendas before a long time ago when I would go live, but now it's like, you know what? Let's just
Yeah.
find
Yeah.
someone to hang out with, and kind of like a Joe Rogan, but without all the the language freedom that he has. To I'm not a big fan
Right.
of but
Right.
I love that fact that Joe Rogan can sit in a room with Elon Musk for 3 hours and just talk.
Yeah.
And it's like, how in the world did he get at that time the world's wealthiest man on the planet who has 3 job titles just sit in a room with him for 3 hours and just talk?
Yeah. Time is money. That's pretty amazing.
And I
Yeah.
think
When you
part of
think
it
about it.
is that we watch it. That's why. And
Right.
Spotify, obviously pays Joe Rogan $200 million just to do his show. So I think that's part of the draw. Yeah. I put these comments
So
up here.
that's crazy. I got a random question for you. It's off topic
Go ahead.
since we don't have any notes. So are you a motorcycle guy?
I am not in the sense of I don't own one, I don't have one, but I do
'Cause
know how to ride
you have that look,
enough.
You have
I've
that
got
look that where like if you said I own a Ninja or I own a Harley or I own an Indy, I would believe you because you have that look.
it's funny because so I think when I was 18 or 19, someone gave me a Honda Rebel 250. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
And I never did anything with it. It sat at my auntie's house for years. And finally she's like, you gotta get rid of this. So I'm like, oh shoot. So I ended up getting rid of it. But I'm thinking, man, I had a free motorcycle. I could have, but then many years later, um, I learned how to ride a dirt bike, and that was fun. Like that was fun.
Yeah.
And there's a guy I follow on YouTube. His name is what is his name? He's based out in Pacific Northwest. Shoot, I can't remember his name to think, but he does all these videos on. It's called He promotes his version of what he calls a professional homeowner, and I'll find him in just a second. But
Okay.
anyways, he has a dirt bike. He does all these things, and I'm like, man, I would love to have a dirt bike because we have where we live. There's so many places to ride. There's where we used to live in Kailua. So if you know where I lived in Hawaii, but I used to ride. So we we had this dirt bike on our property. We would ride it in this. So we had this in my backyard. We had this uh beach volleyball pit in our
Yeah.
backyard on the side of our house. And so we would take our guys and just ride. We would ride laps in this sand volleyball pit. It was the funniest thing ever. It was so fun to do, and the neighbors hated us for it. But I would take that same dirt bike and I'd ride all around Kailua, Oahu, just drive like it, it was totally illegal because you can't drive without. You gotta have
Yeah. Yeah.
street legal. But yeah, getting back to dirt bikes. Yeah, I don't have one currently, but I think if safety wise, I don't think I would be on the road just because I don't have faith in other drivers.
Yeah. You
But
definitely ride more defensively and more aware.
yeah,
And when you ride a motorcycle, you notice how unaware people in cars are. People in cars are drinking coffee,
yeah,
talking on their phone, messing with their stereo, having conversations, and they don't even see what's going on around them. You're like, dude, it's a good thing they're in a car because they have some sort of safety. But when you're on a bike, you don't have the confines of that safety frame. So you're constantly in protective mode, emergency mode, and it's not a scary thing. It's just you're more observant, if that makes sense. Like I'm aware of if somebody's too close behind me,
yeah.
and I let them know. And
Well,
but
even driving, I'm because I drive a lot, so I drive probably close to 1,000 miles a week. I'll drive. So
that's crazy.
I think just seeing how people are, like how you said, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm the guy that drives 5 car lengths behind
yeah, yeah,
you know what I mean? Just because of that.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. And but I don't own a bike here in Alaska anymore, just because my summers are shot. But I still ride, and I have a motorcycle in the Philippines that I ride. So when I'm there, I'm putting on quite a few kilometers around the islands. So I'll have to send you some pictures.
Brother Mike says he flies into Kaneohe Marine Base. So, Mike, are you I'm not sure. Are you a commercial pilot or military pilot? That's interesting. Not too many people fly into a military base. Yeah, that's interesting. That might be your next pilot, Papa Bear.
There you go.
If you need a volunteer
There you
pilot.
go. Yeah, we've got several volunteer every year. I don't know who my pilots are going to be because people have different vacations and whatnot, but most of our pilots are volunteers and they own their own planes or they have access to a friend's airplane. And we have an airstrip out at our camp. So we get bush planes coming in. Oh, you fly troops commercial. Cool. Yeah. So he's flying some bigger airplanes then.
So you do have an airstrip close to
Yeah.
you. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get a lot of bush planes coming in there, mostly tail draggers. And so all of your smaller bush planes are coming in there.
No. Why is it called a bush plane?
Bush plane usually means it's got like tundra tires, those big, tall, rubbery, soft tires that have like 3 pounds of air in them. That's your suspension. So you can go on a field that doesn't even have a runway. You can land on a rocky beach next to the ocean or whatever. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. Oh, it's not dirt or gravel. We planted grass, and it is a beautiful grass runway. If you connect with me like on Instagram or send me an email, I'll send you pictures of the airstrip. I'm talking to Pilot Mike.
So maybe Pilot Mike, Brother Mike, can fly me there.
Oh, there you go.
Let's give him all the specs and the location of the airplane.
Yeah, and if he's flying a big plane, he can just put a parachute on you and just push you out the door.
Yeah.
And you can just drop in. We've actually had people drop in like that. Usually they're from the fire department, but they drop into our camp, just parachutes coming in.
See, that's one thing I learned here. So in Hawaii, we don't have a fire season, but I learned a lot about that fire season. I know it's a legitimate thing. I get it. I get there's fire. So I learned there's two major, right? You got the wildfires, which are like naturally like acts of God, basically, and then you got the other fires that are I forget the name of it, but basically, like human error or whatever.
Oh yeah, or accidental. Yeah, most of our fires are lightning.
Yeah, lightning.
The majority is lightning.
And Mike brought it up. That's what I was going to say. I met some fire jumpers, and those guys are like, bro, either you've got to screw loose or you want to meet God, like in a Russian roulette.
Well,
those guys are amazing what they do.
Yeah, of all the fire teams, they're kind of known as like kind of the special forces of the fire department, because those guys are equipped to fly in by themselves. Usually they send them in twos or more, but it's not common where they fly over a hot spot. They drop this guy by parachute, and has to find the perimeters of the property, assess the situation, and then radio back. And then he's calling the shots. He's like, okay, we have access this many meters away from a lake. We have water access over here. We can build a fire break. We need to clear 1.3 miles of this. Drop in a crew, and then they come in with a crew of 20. It's usually around 20 people who do the grunt work. But those guys, they lay the initial line. They're the ones that flag everything, mark it, GPS everything. They have a hard job, but they've earned it. They've been in the force a long time. They've been in, but yeah, I've met a lot of those guys out at our camp. They've used our camp as a headquarters, the Alaska.
It's a big business too. Like,
yeah,
it's a huge, and I know that it's a legitimate thing, but business wise, there's a lot of contracts that I'm learning, and I didn't know. So a lot of the people that I met, a lot of them don't actually work for the state, city, or county, or federal. They actually work for a private company.
Yep. Yeah,
And
some of them do, and you
and
get them from other states. So I met people from. We had a fire team of 20 people from Oregon out at our camp for 2 weeks, and so I got to get to know those guys. So I'm out catching king salmon for them and bringing
matter
it
of
to their little
fact,
camp.
it's funny because you
Yeah.
say Oregon and Alaska. So I met this girl. She was like 5. I took her to the airport. She was like 5'6", 5'2", 5'3", skinny girl, like long blonde hair. She could probably pass for like a model. That's how. And I don't look at anybody inappropriately, obviously, but she just looked like someone that was a model, but really tiny. But she had these bags. I'm not even kidding. These bags were as big as she were, huge like duffel bags, and she had 2 of them. And she had a little mini backpack. She's loaded it up. I helped load it up. So I asked her, "What do you do? Like, where are you headed to?" She, "Oh, I'm headed towards. I had to take her to the airport. This is helicopter side." So she's a helicopter pilot, and I thought that was cool already. So, oh, that's cool. And she goes, "Oh, I actually I fight fires." I said, "Really?" She said, "Yeah." And she said, "She
Yeah.
that little this little barrel." She picks up this barrel. She flies it into random places to pick up water and dumps water over the fires. And she actually does scout mission, all this stuff. And I was like, "Dude, that's great." And I told her,
Yeah.
I said, "You have anybody that knows anything about helicopters? A lot of I have family friends that are pilots, and a few of them refuse to get in a helicopter because
Oh yeah.
helicopters do not technically fly. They literally beat wind into submission. Is what they do. Anyway, so I told her, "You have a crazy job. Like, first of all,
Yeah.
you're awesome, and I said, second of all, I said, how do you have a personal life? Because, like, if I was a girl and that's what I did for a living, like, my expectation of a man
Yeah.
would be higher just because of what I do."
Yeah. I
And I
would
was
think you're not going out to dinner with an accountant
no,
because he's gonna
exactly,
bore the snot
exactly.
out of you,
Yeah, you're like,
right?
Wait, what? You crunch numbers?" I
Yeah.
yeah, I'm flying through fires. And here's the funny thing. I think a month later, I met another girl in Oregon, same thing. Dropped off at the airport, same thing. Same body type, but not blonde hair, was brown hair. I'm like, "This is weird." I said, I dropped off this girl at the airport and she had the same body type as you. I'm not being weird. Same bags, exact same bags. And she goes, Was she a helicopter pilot?" I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "I'm a helicopter pilot too." I said, "Get out of here." And she goes, "Yeah, that's my sister." I said, "No way." And guess where she was headed? She was headed to Alaska. So one sister fights fires with a helicopter in Oregon. The other one flies helicopters in Alaska fighting fires.
Well, maybe I met her.
He
Who
may
knows,
have.
man? We had a lot of helicopters. We had helicopters landing every day at our camp. So a few years ago, we had huge fires in our region. So they just made our camp headquarters, and then they hired me as a guide so I could get the fire
Yeah.
crews around because I know the river. So that was a crazy year. We had lots of fires. So
Here's a random question. Do you uh and I just bought a map. I actually have one on my wall. And I'm not showing you, but I actually have another map. So I'm starting to learn how to. It sounds weird, but in our generation, we don't know how to use maps.
right,
So that's something I want to learn how to do in the event that all technology,
yeah,
craps
yeah.
out. So do you know how? I mean, obviously you do know how to use maps, but do you
Yeah,
have
so
an
I grew
idea?
up with maps. In fact, I remember my grandpa, every time he'd go to a gas station back in the day, we're talking 60s and 70s, gas stations, you could always get free maps of the local city, of the state that you're in. And he would always collect a handful of maps. And I go, Grandpa, why do you always take those? He goes, someday these aren't going to be free. And so I remember after he passed away, he had boxes of maps. I wish I had access to all those because they're like pretty crazy. So, I remember most of my life you're driving and somebody's with you. If it's not your wife, they're the map reader and they're going, okay, it looks like about 2 miles away we're going to make a right hand turn on highway 101, right, whatever. And maps were not updated all the time like GPS is updated a little more often. But if you had an old map, there'll be roads there that show up that don't show up on the map because it costs a lot to go and remap everything. But I was just talking with somebody yesterday about this, saying that this generation, if the grid goes down, they're lost
Yeah.
because they're used to going, "Hey Siri, where's Walmart?" I mean, I've done it. I'm in Florida and I don't know where I'm at. So I go, "Hey Siri, where's the closest Waffle House?" And they go, 1/4 of a mile, turn right. And I'm like, awesome, because I'm hungry, right? But if that's gone, this generation is going to stand around staring at the sky, lost. They
Well,
don't know what to do.
we won't know how to call someone because we don't know
No,
half of our telephone numbers.
no, they don't
Yeah.
know the number. And so here's the other thing. It's not just not having mapping. It's beyond that. If you at least have the understanding of where north, south, east, and west is, and I'm finding this generation, they don't know it. So I don't know if you maybe in the chat you can be honest and say you struggle sometimes with north, south, east, and west. Most of the women in my life, if I were to ask them just, okay, where's north? They don't have a clue. Literally don't have a clue. And so a lot of young men don't have a clue. So it's pretty simple. The sun always sets on the what?
The West.
So when you're teaching survival, you don't need to have electronics. You don't even have to have a map. You don't even have to have a compass. If you at least know in your region where the sun sets, because it's going to set slightly different depending on where you are from the equator. If you at least know that, you at least can find north. And if you can find north, then south is automatic, right?
I ain't gonna lie, because so if I know east and west, that's easy for me. And
Okay.
being in the mainland is different. Like Hawaii, we had the ocean and the mountain. That's how we were able to kind of get
Yeah,
a grip.
yeah.
So if I know where west is, how do I know where north is?
Well, north is always up. It's
Up.
always up.
Okay, so if
So anytime you're looking at a picture of a map or a picture of a globe,
okay,
north is always up. They never put north down, right?
gotcha.
Okay, so even if you open up the compass, if you have an iPhone, it comes automatically with a compass. You ever use the compass on your iPhone?
Yeah, so I have one. So if I know west,
Right.
let's say my phone says west is
Yeah.
here, and I don't have a map. This is an honest question. So I'm learning. So if I know west is here, let's say west is here, and I have no map.
Right.
Now, can I look at a tree and look for the moss and say, okay, the moss only grows on
Yeah.
what side of the tree?
I don't know if that's a true statement on every continent because I've
Okay.
not spent time on every continent, but I know in North America that's typically true because the side of the tree, the side of the ground for that will or any foliage that sees the least amount of sun will be on the north side, especially up where I live. So the north side is going to see much less sun, and so yeah, that you might see, especially if you're closer, like where you live. I think it's hugely accurate when you're in the woods of the mountains. You're going through these Eastern Oregon, huge, massive hemlock trees. You're going through the mountains and fir trees and cedars, and you're going to probably find moss and a discolorization or some sort of growth on the north side of the tree. But really, if you just wait it out and watch the sun come up, it came up from the east. And
Right.
once you can find east, just think about this for a minute. Always be looking at the ground as if you're looking at the globe. Once you find east, you just watch sun come up. You know that if I'm staring at the east, then to the left is my north. Okay, up is north. But if I'm staring at a sunset, even in Hawaii, if you're staring at a sunset, your left is south. Because now you're looking the other direction. Does that make sense?
Dude, I just connected
All
the
right.
dots. Holy smoke, that's so true. Bro, I can be looking at Waianae, right? Okay, all my Hawaii people watch.
Bam!
Hey, I can look at Waianae right now. I'm looking at Waianae. If I turn left, that's all I'm on a beach park. If I turn to the right, that's the north. Holy smoke, that's some legit stuff right there.
Bang.
Bro,
There you
a
are.
light bulb just turned on, family.
Yeah, but see, most people don't know that. And as soon as the phone goes off or your device, you're like, I'm lost. I don't know where I'm going. It doesn't help you find a particular address. But if I know that the town I'm looking for is north of me, if you're lost in the woods, you typically, unless you live, I don't know. Maybe there's parts of the country they tell you to go north, but typically up here, you want to go south. If you go south, you're going to find water. You're going to eventually find people. If you go north, you're going to travel a whole lot of wilderness, and you may not survive before you get up to Barrow, which is North Pole,
And
top of
that's
the
just
world.
in general. North typically gets colder.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay,
if I want to go south, I remember one November I was living in Northern California, and there was this guy who had this motorcycle that I really liked. I had the same bike, but his was tricked out. And I said, "Hey, if you ever sell yours, call me first." So he was military, and he got shipped to Spokane, Washington. So after about a year there, and he never rode the bike. I think he rode it one time because it was too cold for him because he was a California boy. He calls me, goes, "All right, I'm ready to sell it to you. What do you want?" So we negotiated on the phone. I hopped on an airplane, flew up to Seattle, and then bust over to his place. And this is mid-November, and I hop on this bike, and it was 20 degrees when I hopped on this Honda Magna 1100, and I'm riding it through Washington. And I'll never forget, like I'm bent on, I'm gonna get home to my family. I'm gonna get home to my wife. So I'm going back to like Central California. So as I'm going through Washington, it dawned on me, when you're on a motorcycle, you feel temperature changes immediately. It's not like in a car. You don't have any way to control the temperature. So I'm leaving, it's 20 degrees. The further south I go, I'm feeling it warm up. I hit Oregon, and I hit 97, and I go down, I go past Shasta, and I'm going down the highway. Every hour that I'm going south, it's getting warmer. By the time I get to California, it's hot, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, so yeah, south is hotter until you get past Mexico, and then everything changes, and now you're going to go cold again, right?
Well, that's
But
why the
that's all
birds fly
water.
south. That's why birds fly south. Yeah.
They winter in Florida and those southern states, and then they come up here and have a family and raise their young and feed them because it's good feed, and then they fly south when the snow hits.
To acknowledge before we move further, to brother Jim in Chicago, he said, "How's it?" He said, "Where is he?" He said, "How's it?" Or "Good afternoon, brother Greg and Ron. Good to see you, brother Jim in Chicago." Jim's got a great story too. I love his story with his family, his daughter, and then brother Mike's in wind chill. Bro, let me tell you something about wind chill. All is well, brother Jim. Thank you, bro. Let me tell you. So, bro, we were driving last year. It was like 12 degrees, whatever it was. It was like single digits. And so I'm driving my car, and no matter how much heat I put in my car, I could feel that cold going through my floorboard.
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck? This is legit
Oh,
cold.
yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's why some people have insulated the bottom side of their cars up here.
Yeah.
Like taking the time to do that spray foam insulation or something. And yeah, it can get cold.
Now, after that, in the summertime, I actually took all my panels off, my door panels, and I actually I did what do they call that? You got to roll it. It's called like Dynamat. It's a sound.
Okay.
It's sound dampening, but it also has a layer of aluminum,
Okay.
which acts as a heat shield as well.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This ain't Hawaii for sure.
Yeah, but I love riding a motorcycle because you get to smell everything. You get to feel everything. Like in the Philippines, man, you go from one village to the next and you smell the food cooking on the road, and you just, good, bad, and ugly. You smell everything. You get to hear the people, and it's pretty cool.
So, how many times have you been to the Philippines in the past 12 months?
I just finished my third, and each time I'm staying around 6 weeks. So I'm starting to feel like a regular there. Like I got family there, and so my wife lives there still.
Do you have
We're still
property
waiting on
in the
it.
Philippines?
We have actually a small, personally, we have a really small lot, and it's on another island. I just went and looked at it because we had bought it unseen, but went and looked at it a few weeks ago, actually. But I don't know. I'm going to just sit on it and see what happens. I don't know what to do with it yet.
Same thing. We have a property on a big island, and it's
Right.
just you may have seen the pictures, but it's just it's a jungle. So
Yeah, that's what mine is right now.
but
And
we have neighbors. It's just that our property is just all jungle, like, and
Yeah.
it's volcanic landscape, and so. But
Yeah.
we want to buy more over there. But one thing we're learning is people are buying like what you did. They're buying sight unseen because it's so
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah.
It sounds weird to say
Oh,
that.
really?
In a big island in Hawaii, land is still cheap. You can buy,
I didn't know that.
bro. I'm telling you. So there was 20 acres, for like 300,000.
Okay.
That's huge in Hawaii because
Well, we're looking for ministry property in Philippines, and it's not cheap. So I'm trying to find a closed down school or something to purchase, but we'll see. But we're going to establish a suicide prevention center in the Philippines. That's what I've been busy doing over there.
So as a white dude from America, how easy is it for you to buy land in Philippines?
It's pretty tricky to own land in the Philippines. You can only have 30% of it being owned by foreigners. So what happens is usually what you do is you get your family in on the name of it, and that's how you get around that,
Right.
So, but yeah, it's pretty tight about that. Now you can own buildings, you just can't own the land, and they want it to be 70% owned by locals.
Yeah. That's good. That's
Yeah.
how it should be. I mean, I don't know about the percentages, but it should be where land
Yeah.
ownership should be for indigenous local people,
Yeah.
or at
Yeah.
least live there. If you live there, I think you should have the right to the ownership.
Right.
My opinion,
Right.
but
But most of your big businesses, like all your car dealerships in the Philippines, pretty much most of them are owned by the Chinese. But
really,
it's not the government. These are actually Chinese people that moved there, and so many of them are third, fourth, beyond generation, right? Where they've intermarried, so they've been around a long time. But they're the ones that own most of the dealerships.
well, I'm part Chinese, so I understand the whole. It's funny.
You got it all going on. You're part Filipino too, right?
Yeah, Hawaiian, Chinese, Filipino. So my dad's 100%
Wow.
Filipino, mom was Hawaiian, Chinese, and I tell
So
you
what do you
what.
call that when you blend those three? What do you call that? I'm sure you've got a word for it.
No, we
You've
just
had it your whole life.
so this is a good question because there's been a discussion coming about people from Hawaii, right?
Okay.
Let's throw some names out there. The latest winner in American Idol is Ian Tongi,
Okay.
and already people are saying, "Oh man, he's the pride and joy of Hawaii," which he is, and some people even say, "Oh, a Hawaiian won American Idol for the first time."
Okay.
Now that is not 100% true. That's probably 99% false because he is from Hawaii. He's born and raised Hawaii, but he's not Hawaiian. He looks like he could be Hawaiian, but he's actually Tongan, Samoan, and Irish.
Oh my goodness!
But
Right.
see, most people will say, "Oh, that." Like for me, depending who I'm talking to, I'll just, "Oh, I'll say I'm part Native Hawaiian." That's how I say it. But if I'm in Hawaii
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we're in a party, people say, "Oh," like we won't say, "Oh,
Right.
what are you?" But that's all Hawaiian, Chinese, Filipino.
Right.
But most Hawaiians in Hawaii, if you're from Hawaii, the majority of people will identify with the nationality or ethnicity that not that we're most proud of, but sometimes the one that we like to identify.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty common.
But
But
you
what
look
I
at
was referring to, do you have like a nickname you got for yourself? For instance, I had a former staff, and her mother's Mexican, her father was Filipino and Apache Indian, so she calls herself a Flipsican.
oh no, yeah, I don't have one for like
Is that cool? So, like, did you come up with a cool like name or a
see
blending, if you
if I
will?
had two, yeah, but I
Yeah.
have so it like
Well, she had three. She did all three. She kind of made it work. I don't know,
so
but
in
I don't know.
Hawaii, sometimes the girl that would like if somebody was like Filipino and Puerto Rican, we call them Filoricans. Um if
Yeah,
if they're
yeah.
Japanese and so we have another one, like if they're half Hawaiian and half Haole or white, we call them
Okay,
Hapa or Hapa Haole. Hapa, I think, is half in Hawaii. We call them
okay,
Hapa, but it's
right,
understood in Hawaii. If you say Hapa, you automatically are saying it's white and Hawaiian. But
okay,
I believe technically Hapa is how I may be wrong, but somebody can fact check
okay.
me, my native. But like, no, I never had one. Like, it's funny you say that because growing up I grew up in the mainland as well. People automatically assumed I was a Japanese samurai warrior or some exotic Mexican, and I'm neither one of those.
Yeah, but I
And
bet you could do a crazy imitation of a Japanese
oh,
warrior. I bet you could, right?
I can fake it,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I could see it,
you
man.
gotta be careful who you fake it to because you don't fake it to Japanese. They look at you like, what?
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
no.
That's funny.
But yeah, I will say, multiculturally speaking, most people that I've experienced in the mainland, when people think of diversity, and maybe you can attest to this, but from what I've experienced and noticed, most people's word or perception of let's say a racially diverse family, they only think white and black, predominant. I'm saying not all of them. And the word that they use commonly is biracial. See, in Hawaii, we don't use that. We don't use Asian. We don't use the words like biracial because the majority of us are not just two. See, like when I was in the mainland, if a white dude or if a black dude and a white girl liked each other and they got married, they had kids, they would be considered a biracial couple.
Wow.
But that to me, that's a limiting factor because technically, if you really go into our genealogy and our ethnicity, that white girl is probably not just white.
Oh no.
There's some ethnicities involved. There's probably
Oh
German,
yeah.
Russian, who knows,
Yeah.
Italian. See, in Hawaii, we don't say I'm brown. Like if I did to myself what America does to white people, I would not even call myself Hawaiian. I would say I'm brown, which we don't. Or if
Yeah,
I'm
that's
Chinese,
crazy.
all right, I'd
That's
say
crazy.
I'm yellow.
Yeah, most of us have a huge mix of background.
And that's why I feel bad for white people because lately it seems that they're getting such a bad rap at the worst and like they're already being sheltered into a box of color, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and it's sad in a way because I'm learning now. Okay, I understand now why people can be closed a little bit in their thinking because they're being taught that no, I'm not German, Russian, Italian, whatever. I'm just a white person. But
I've never actually met a white person.
yeah, I haven't either.
I don't look very white. I'm like kind of reddish, little sunburned.
Well, Hawaiians had a word for white people, at least, right? It's called haole or
Yeah.
haole.
Yeah.
So that was their
Yeah,
perception.
that's funny.
Yeah. How do we get into that discussion of
I don't know.
ethnicity and race?
It's funny.
You do look a little bit red from the last time we met up.
I've been out in the sun, so I've been out and mostly left over from the Philippines. So because when I get out in Alaska sun, you can be in the Alaska sun all day. It's a little hard to get sunburn. It's just the sun's not that intense, even though it's out 24/7. It's just not that intense.
No, are you at elevation? What's your elevation where you're at?
Well, it's not so much elevation. It's like where we are on the globe. You're way up there.
The sun is a different angle.
Yeah, it's a whole different angle. So it's coming in at an angle, but we're already in our 24-hour sunlight. I mean, May, June, and July is the sun. It never gets dark at night.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so all of June it'll look like 3 a.m. looks like 3 p.m. And what's cool is our work teams come up and I say, okay, guys, when you're doing orientation, I said, yeah, I promise not to work you till past sundown. And they're like, okay, cool. And the sun never goes down.
That's funny.
And they're out there swinging a hammer at 11 p.m. going, what time is it? Yeah, crazy.
Which boggles my mind why produce would be so expensive in Alaska.
Well, because everything's shipped. But now it's kind of your top ground stuff, your ground foods we can grow in the summer. We have a short season.
Yeah.
Not so much, well, a little bit in my area, but mostly what they call the valley, which is the Wasilla, Sarah Palin area, which is just outside of Anchorage. They have really good farms there. And even though the growing season is only like 3 months, with that 24-hour sunlight, you get record size like carrots, potatoes,
pumpkins.
Cabbages. I've seen 1,100-pound pumpkin. I am not kidding you.
That'll kill you.
Literally, they cut a door in the back so that your kids could get inside. You can do photos with your whole family inside this pumpkin. And I'm told they don't taste that good when they get the big, but it shows you how big they can grow these things in our limited summer. So so those kind of things can be grown, but no citrus and obviously no tropical fruits, which every time I go to the Philippines, oh my goodness, I'm addicted to their mangoes and their bananas, and the list goes on. I go crazy on fruit over there.
So growing up, Big Island in Hawaii. See, I'm probably biased because to me, Big Island is probably the best island. But on the Big Island, where the volcano is, and the snow and all that. Well, our house, and now that I'm older, I appreciate it. So our house had a mango tree, couple of
Yeah.
banana trees. We had a lot of papaya trees.
Wow.
We had we call it lychee. I think the other people say lychee, but we call it
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know what
lychee
that
tree.
is.
We had lychee.
hmm
What else did we have? We had quite a bit.
Do you have that jackfruit over there?
We didn't have, but people do grow it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
pretty
really
crazy.
it's not a desirable fruit in Hawaii. Like,
No, it's scary looking. Looks like you could hurt somebody with it. It gets huge.
yeah, it's got spikes on it, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So speaking of Hawaii, I told you I'll go with you someday, but there has to be pig hunting involved.
Yeah.
That's my motivation.
Well,
okay?
getting back to that, I meant to ask you that earlier. So, if I want to buy a gun in Alaska, do I have to have an Alaska ID, or can I buy from if I'm out of state? Can I go to Alaska to buy a gun?
You know, that's a good question. I
Yeah.
really don't know. I know that in Alaska you can conceal carry if you're 21. So anybody can.
So I
So
know
we're-
Oregon. I'm going to definitely get my CCW here, but I have to have an Oregon ID to purchase and to carry.
I mean, it's pretty common when I get on a small flight, I'm wearing a gun, like open carry or concealed, doesn't matter. I've never had anybody hassle me. It's when the flights where you're going through security, it's a bit of an issue, but then usually you just throw it in your bag. So it's such a common culture here that nobody really harasses you, you know.
Well, I think Alaska it's like mandatory to me. Like if I lived out there, it'd be mandatory to always have something just because of where I live. Like versus
Well, yeah, I mean, we've had people come and visit and they're anti-gun, and then they watch their family get mauled by a bear, and then all the locals go, "That's on you.
yeah.
You could have. It's not on the bear. That's on you.
It's not the
I mean,
bear's fault.
you could have been carrying a gun and saved your family. You know."
Yeah. Well, the fact that I'm in Oregon a lot. I mean, Oregon. I mean, where I'm at. The fact that I'm in Portland a lot.
Yeah.
You know, when I first arrived here a year and a half ago, I was very open-minded. But even now, I'm starting to see the underbelly of Portland, and people that are,
It's a mess.
yeah, and I'm not being negative. It's just being
No,
legitly
it's a
honest.
mess. It's the armpit of the West now. So have you been seeing recent news about Oregon, about several counties seceding and wanting to break away and become part of Idaho?
Yeah,
Basically, all of Eastern Oregon.
I don't know how that's going to work, honestly. But somebody said Portland too. I said, how can Portland?
I don't think Portland would. No, they're
Yeah,
part of the. I don't see that happening.
Portland is a part of that minority that seems to always run the state with the elections.
Yeah. And so Eastern Oregon, where most of my dad's family is from, I spent a lot of time out there. Those are pretty conservative, grassroots, hardworking, loggers, fishermen, hunters, outfitters, that kind of thing, you know. And so I could see them wanting to separate and become part of Idaho.
Well, I think they're kind of like disconnected already, geographically speaking. So why not?
but they're paying the bills for all the bad decisions of the West.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if it's actually going to happen. I don't know. What do you think?
I hope it does, honestly. I just don't know how it will work. But the one thing that's really unfortunate, we look at Portland. If I have drugs on me and I get caught with it, it's not a felony. Like it's not a major crime. It's a misdemeanor.
Right.
If I'm smoking it in the presence of a cop, it's just a misdemeanor. Isn't that crazy? It's not considered it's basically not considered a crime.
Right.
I can have crystal meth, I can have Pakalolo, or Pakalolo is legal technically.
Right.
I can
But
you know what I mean? I can have heroin, I can have all and the cops like, oh, yeah, whatever. That's why the people are smoking. Like I might be
But in that same city, if your kids have a Bible verse on their shirt, they can get kicked out of school.
Yeah. It's crazy. And it's like I'm literally in downtown Portland and brought a man to my left, to the north of me, to the north of me is literally smoking crack or something in a glass pipe, and you can smell that ether smell.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck is like
Dude,
what?
Greg, I messed you up, bro. Now everywhere you go, you're going to be going, that's north.
That's north. Yeah.
That's south over there.
But what is it? I'm gonna look him up because I want you to watch him. I may even pull it up. He has a really good. He's kind of weird in some aspects, but I'm gonna look him up. Man, his name is escaping me. Okay, his name is Wrangler Star, and I love watching his videos. But he's basically a homeowner in the Pacific Northwest who,
Mhm.
politically speaking, he may look like he is on a conservative side. I don't know if that's where he lies. I don't think it matters for me. But he teaches people how to basically survive all this little thing. Like, give an example. He homeschools his children, but he did this one video of. He said, if you go to Amazon, you buy you can order these body armor um, bags. They have little
Mhm.
sheets of like Kevlar
Yeah.
pads, and it's to protect
Okay.
equipment or whatever. He says, just buy one of these. It's like, $50, $60 for these bags. Take out the sheet that's in there, the Kevlar. He says, put it in your kid's backpack so when they go to school, they have protection. And he says, now this may not save them from a rifle, but it will stop. He gives the caliber. It stops like 9 millimeter. It stops basically
Mhm.
handgun bullets. He says it won't stop high power, but at least you have peace of mind that your kids have some
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
He says teach them to put the backpack in front of them, put it in front of their face, and and they find shelter. And I thought about it, man, what a great thing he's doing. And I also thought, what a sad thing he has to do to show people this is how you protect your kids in
Yeah.
schools.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Make a vest out of that or something, and put that in the lining of your coat.
yeah. But
That's a great
his name
idea.
his name is Wrangler Star. I'll share it on the so you
Yeah,
can,
you'll have to send it or tag me or something. That'd be cool.
I'll tag you for sure. Wrangler Star. That's his.
Well, dude, I need to get going.
Yeah,
I've
same
got
here.
some stuff. So, but this has been way cool hanging with you.
Well, I love the
Yeah.
fact that we can just sit here and break bread. As we
That's
close,
cool.
I will share the video, and that'll be our closing video. So for those that are tuning in on replay, thank you. Those that have been with us live, I appreciate, man. We love you guys. We thank you for just hanging out.
Very cool.
TGM or This Generation Ministries, Papa Bear definitely needs some volunteers, people to keep praying for their ministry. And I'll share the video.
Yeah. And
I
hey,
have,
let me ask you though too. I'm not seeing all the posts. I'm seeing some posts on here from a few people, but you're seeing stuff I can't see. I think right from some of the
yeah,
platforms. Are there any questions that we need to address?
I don't think. Let me see.
Look
Most
through.
of it just
I don't like to not address them in case there are any.
no questions, just comments that I think I posted up already. Yeah, we should do a Q&A.
Mike said he likes swimming with gators.
Oh, is that what he
I
said?
don't.
I didn't see that.
I've never done that, but I'll tell you what, Mike. I go to Florida usually at least once a year. I go on a speaking tour down there, but man, I want to kill a gator with a knife. I
I'll
want to
make
do that.
sure I'm far away filming to document that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that would be a cool feat. That's on my bucket list right there.
I'll help you eat it. I don't mind enjoying the meal for sure.
Yeah, that sounds good. But
Well,
that
Ron,
and
I'll
all
have
right,
you
good.
close this out, and I'll share the video at the end. So whatever closing comments, and I'll play the
Oh
video.
yeah, well, hey, thanks for the time. And what we do in Alaska is pretty off the charts, kind of unique. I'm sure there's people other parts of the planet that do something similar, but our focus is reaching these young people, and really our goal is to reach them with hope before they make a permanent decision to a temporary problem. So if you're out there and you're struggling with, we call it mental health. That seems to be now the key word of that. But really, if you're just struggling with life, like you're wondering, is it really worth getting up tomorrow morning? That's kind of what we're all about. We're about putting hope back into people who either lost it or never had it, and really through the intentions of the Creator, showing people really that they're designed for a purpose, on purpose, and with a purpose. And so we really believe that. And so this is very God-centered. At the same time, we're very intentional about what we do, and our methods are kind of a little bit different, but we're seeing results, and we're going to keep doing it. So we do this here in Alaska, and now we do the same in Philippines. And but if you guys ever want to be a part of it, be on a work team or be a supporter, you can go to that website, tgmalaska.com. And we definitely take donations. We're raising money right now for our summer camps and raising money. I'll tell you more about it later, Greg, but we're raising money for some missionaries that live on their Filipino family
Nice.
on an island, and a family of 6 living in a little tiny shed with 1 bed and a dirt floor and blue tarps for walls. And so we're raising money so we can build them a house. So that's the kind of stuff we want to make a difference while we're here on the planet, because life is short.
Amen.
Thanks for the time, man.
All right, here we go.
The picture that Jesus paints here sums it up perfectly when he describes leaving the 99 to chase after the one who is lost, leaving the relative safety of the herd to adventure into the wilderness after someone valuable. Go. We have to leave where we are, leave the comforts of what we've always known, and go to where the lost are. Brave the same dangers that they would face. So we have to urgently search. Go where we've never gone. Do what we've never done. Go beyond our comfort zones and give everything we have to find that one. And once they're found, once they've been brought back, it's time to celebrate.
Pause it right there. We are done, guys. Thank you, brother Ron. Love you. Of course, we can chat.
I love you too, man. Thanks.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.